After I came to Australia, we got into lockdown, that unfortunate period, and a lot of people would ask me the same thing. I started putting myself into those uncomfortable situations. I wanted to learn. I was already trying to push myself to speak to a group of students. It was very uncomfortable. Created a first ever regional club for Indian students. When someone smiles and you know that you are the reason behind that.
That's a great achievement that you have done already.
What you do in your classroom is definitely very important, but what you do outside of it is even more important.
So I'm really excited about today's video. I'm gonna meet someone very exciting. I'm looking forward to meeting this person. I've met him before, but it's gonna be really exciting because this is the first time we're gonna do like a formal sit-down sort of an interview or like a talk. We'll see how it goes. I actually want to do what we call like a vlogcast. I don't know if it's a new term. I'm just creating it myself about vlogging and podcasting, because as you can see, I'm in the middle of Melbourne CBD. So while I'm carrying all my gear with me, camera gear and stuff, I would love to see if I can maybe walk around with this person and to see, it's going to be a very insightful session. So feel free to join us. So today I'm really excited to introduce you someone who I really look at and admire to as an international student who has come from a small town in India to becoming a Victorian Student of the Year award holder. And not only just that, but also becoming advisory to the Australian government for the youth here in Victoria, a storm engineer and co-author. So many other things and achievements that he has done in a very short span of time here in Australia. I'm really excited to introduce Sarabjet here to this channel. Sarab, welcome to the channel.
Thank you so much, Sam, for having me. I'm really excited to be here finally with you, especially as someone who's been following you from quite a while, especially even before coming to Australia. I used to watch your videos on YouTube, and really excited to be here with you, and it's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for your kind words, and appreciate that that you have taken the time out of your busy schedule to come and meet with us and talk about the things that matter to a lot of students actually. So maybe we'll start off with an introduction about yourself, who you are, where you come from, what you have done so far here in Australia. So you feel free to get started with that.
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Sarabjet. I also go by the name Sunny, so you can call me Sunny as well, Sam. I don't mind that.
Sure.
Originally I'm from India, from north of India, from a state called Punjab, and I came to Australia in 2020 to study my bachelor's in civil engineering at Deakin University. And then right after I came to Australia, within a couple of weeks time, we got into lockdown, that unfortunate period. It was a bit overwhelming, but then I just started going out and about in the community, helping out with different community groups, people who were struggling at that time. And that point forward, I was studying, and then I started working with many different organizations, and then started volunteering with community groups at my university, outside of my university.
Nice.
And at the moment, I work with the city of Greater Geelong, which is the local government.
Wow.
In my town, as a stormwater engineer. And apart from that, I'm involved with other organizations like Migrant Worker Centre for Multicultural Youth in the Advisory Committee. I work with the Office for Youth in the Australian Parliament, advising the climate change and water portfolio. I do work with Engineers Australia, where I'm leading their sustainability portfolio, promoting more careers in sustainability engineering and helping more young migrants create a career in that engineering and fill that skill shortage gap. That's me. Just working out and about in the community, and
That's great. Now that's actually a very long list of achievements and things you have done in a very short period of time. How did you manage to do that? That's the question first. Like in a very short span of time, how do you manage to do so many things that maybe many students aspire to do it over a very long period of time? So do you have any strategy, things that you like to do, or how do you manage all this?
So I think that's definitely a great question, and a lot of people would ask me the same thing. I think one of the key things is that the way I see it is that I wanted to learn learn and grow and acquire a lot of skills, which is why I started putting myself into those uncomfortable situations. So the first thing was during that period where in my first year of uni in 2020, it was sort of a period where I started reflecting on myself to where I want to go and what I want to become, because a lot of things were not the way I would have liked them to be.
Okay.
And that's when I thought, okay, I need to be XYZ. I need to be an engineer. I need to start working out, helping the community, because that's something that I really enjoyed in my first year. So that's when I thought, okay, let's start doing something. So and in my second year, I created a study support group, started helping with an organization called Study Geelong, where we led a campaign called Brand Geelong, promoting Geelong among international students as its study destination.
Okay.
I got a few other roles within my university, which was all volunteering. And the main reason I started working on those roles, or main reason why I applied for those roles, was because I wanted to learn. Because I realized that we need to be having those certain skills which the employers in Australia really value, like communication or your leadership.
Yeah.
Because when you're sitting in those interviews, you can claim that you're a really good communicator, but do you really have an example to back that up?
Yeah.
I had those examples, and the way of me acquiring those examples was actually going out and volunteering in those groups.
Yeah.
So in my second year, I was already trying to push myself to speak to a group of students where I would explain to them certain things, doing that public speaking. It was very uncomfortable. It was very daunting. I used to hate that. But then I started becoming more and more comfortable with that as I kept going, because I wanted to learn. And then one thing led to another. I started volunteering with many different organizations, started going out and about, and then worked on many different initiatives, including taking part in my university council elections, created a first ever regional club for Indian students down in Geelong. So those sort of things, and then finally being able to award the International Student of the Year, as you mentioned. Definitely a long way, but it sort of happened one by one, and then one thing leads you to another, and then you just keep acquiring new skills as you go. And then right now, all those organizations that I mentioned that I'm involved in at the moment, because of the passion that I've acquired, because I've realized that that's a part of me now. I really value, and it makes me personally really happy to know that when someone smiles and you know that you are the reason behind that.
That's right.
And I think that's me, and I'll just keep on working on what I'm doing at the moment.
You definitely bring a lot of smiles to a lot of faces. That's a great achievement that you have done already. So in terms of volunteering, like you mentioned, like you have volunteered at many places. Why do you think volunteering is important for an international student who are moving to Australia or rather anywhere in the world? Why volunteering?
Yeah, so volunteering is definitely something that can do miracles to someone. So when you study in your classroom, you do study, for me, I was doing engineering. And in my classroom, I would study engineering. We would do technical concepts. My study really made me think like an engineer. But was it something really helpful for me? Yes, it was. But then was it giving me everything that I wanted? Maybe not. Which is why volunteering was that something which was giving me anything that my classroom is not able to give me.
Yes.
So I wanted to learn how to talk to people. In big groups, public speaking. So in volunteering, in one of my first roles where I was helping students during the first few weeks in the trimester. So I was allocated with a big group of students where I would talk to them, deliver those presentations, guide them through their time in the university. So that was public speaking. And then when I led my own club or took part in university council elections, so it was like me running a business. So I had a club. My product was my events. And then I had a marketing team. We had to market our events. We had a finance team because we had a set budget. So it was me running that business, but I was doing it for free. So that means if I'm actually wanting to run a business, or if I'm sitting in an interview with an employer, I can tell them that I've done this and I have got those skills because I've got that to back myself up, back my argument up, because I've got that experience. I'm a good marketer because my events were sold with 400, 500 plus people. My finance was really good because I've been able to make this money in my not-for-profit club. So having those things to back myself up and acquire those skills, because the way I see it is, when was the last time I was given an opportunity to be a CEO of a company? Never, probably never. But that volunteering opportunity, even though I was doing it for free, but it was not free. It was, the way I see it, it's free learning.
It's learning, yes.
Because you get to learn and you don't have to pay anything, and you actually get to experience those things which you would in those senior positions. So I think that is the reason why I did volunteering, and that is the reason why I always say to other people that yes, that is something that you should do apart from your studies, because what you do in your classroom is definitely very important, but what you do outside of it is even more important.
Even more important. That's so right. Like many people say that it's not just what you know, but who you know as well. And volunteering, I think, helps you to expand your network and help you to build that sort of confidence that I think many students lack when they first move to a new country, right? Like with the communications.
Yeah, definitely. And I think employers really value transferable skills a lot. So transferable skills are the skills which you can transfer from one place to the other, and they're not really specific to any particular discipline. So communication, your leadership, or the way you articulate yourself and things like that. So these are the kind of things which you acquire through those volunteering, because your technical skills can be something which you can acquire on your job, and especially when you're here to study and you're very young, your employers wouldn't really expect you to know a lot of technical stuff. They would want you to train, they would want you to learn them on the day, but what they are really interested in, who you are as a person, what kind of a person you are you a really good fit for the team? And you can demonstrate that yes, you are a good fit for the team and you are a good person and you've got all those skills with volunteering, and acquire those skills, because coming from a different country, having entirely complete culturally different background, I think there are certain things which we know, but there are certain things which we don't know. So keeping your brain open, keeping your mind open, and becoming a sponge. So absorbing all the good things, but then also trying to squeeze yourself a little bit and pushing out all the things which you don't actually need. And then preparing yourself for the future, where you can actually do the things which you actually want to do.
That's so good. I mean, example of a sponge, you grab everything you can and you release the things you don't really need, or that doesn't have any maybe linkage to your career or attributes that you don't want to acquire, because everything has a positive and negatives as well. So in terms of like your volunteering, do you know, or do you remember on top of your head what you mentioned so many of them? How do you get these volunteering opportunities? Did you create it yourself, or did you find it at certain platforms? So that's what I think a lot of students would like to know as well. How to find these opportunities.
I think with volunteering, I did a bit of everything. I found a lot of things. I created a lot of things myself. And then I created a lot of things for other students as well, for them to be able to come and volunteer and experience those things. So one of the first things that I did was I created something. I created a study support group in my second year of a university. So we were a group of students and we would reach out to different students in my university, international students. Because we realized there was a gap. A gap was that what you expect back home in your country is a bit different to what you actually experience after coming here. And we wanted to just reach out to those students and let them know that this is what is going to happen, and that's how you can prepare yourself. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was my university, and a lot of the universities in Australia, they do have their own portals, a career portals where they advertise different opportunities, including volunteer opportunities. So I went up to that career portal and I started applying for different volunteering roles. So one of the first volunteering roles that I got through that portal was a English mentor. So a lot of the students would come to my university to study English, and that was a pathway for them to then get into a degree in my university. So we would just connect with those students and just as a friend. So it was a buddy program. So it was a buddy system. As an experienced student at the university, they would connect it with someone who is new.
Inexperienced,
to give them that experience. So that was really good because it was a cross-cultural collaboration. I got to learn so many different cultures. So it was really good. And then I got into another role which was called Success Coach, which was me then connecting with online-based students. So university was helping me connect with those students. And we would have regular catch-ups and we would talk about different things. And then there was another volunteering position advertised online, which I applied, called Study Geelong. So a lot of those online roles, and I think one good way to look for them is definitely your university, as I mentioned. So university careers portal, because the best way, I think best and the quickest and the easiest way to volunteer and learn is through your university, because that is where you're studying, and how good it would be if you actually volunteer over there as well, and saves you so much time. Volunteering portal at the university, and then Seek Volunteer, I think in my opinion is really good, because there are so many other different not-for-profit groups outside your university who are doing such an important work, and they advertise their volunteer roles on Seek Volunteers, so something like that. And it's a very easy to use portal, similar to Seek Careers portal, but then you just apply for volunteering positions positions. So that's another thing. And the way I created volunteering position was taking part in my university council elections, which was a bit daunting and something really hard. But I took part in election. I campaigned for it, and then I was able to get a position as a campus coordinator, where I led a team of 8 people belonging to 8 different demographics, and then we created many different cultural clubs. I helped out with the creation of Indian club, and then we had different volunteering roles within that Indian club, the Vietnamese society, and then some other societies which we created then in my university. And I think that's how I created those roles. So yeah, I think definitely, and there are many opportunities you keep coming. I was approached a lot of the times for volunteering positions as well, because once you're actually doing it, you're getting out there, you get putting your name, people know that yes, you're available and this is who you are. They trust you, and you build a brand in yourself. And that's when you get approached as well for these positions.
Nice. So there are multiple ways, like you have mentioned. You can look up on university portals, you can look up on Seek Volunteer, and you can, not just be sitting down and waiting for opportunities to come. Rather, you go out and create opportunities for yourself, and that's what, it's a good
and
way.
And one of the other things is, if there is an organization which you think has volunteers and you're really interested in volunteering for them, I think a lot of the time what works is that sending them a cold email, just letting them know, hey, I would really like to help out. You're doing this event. I would love to help out with that on that event. I know one of the times there was this event happening. It was an educational conference, and the conference was actually ticketed. The fees was about $700-800, and as a student, it was a bit expensive for me. So I emailed the organizer and I said, hey, this is me. I study here, and then I would really love to volunteer at this event and help out wherever I can. Please let me know if there are any opportunities. It was a big email that I wrote, and then they got back to me. They said, yes, we are actually looking for volunteers. And I actually got to experience that event for free and help out. And it was such a good thing. So some things like that. So you just have to be agile and flexible and try different ways and see what works for you.
And like yourself, you were very proactive in approaching things, rather than waiting. And that's what I think a lot of students feel like they'll have to just wait for things to come to them. But in your case, I think what you did was like you went out and then you approached those events and said, hey, I'm here. I want to be part of your events and would love to volunteer. So that's a great way of tackling that. So any other suggestion you have if you are, let's say yourself, coming to Australia just now, you're landing in Australia right now, what suggestion would you give it to yourself? What changes would you make, or what would you suggest to your younger self if you have to go 5 years back in for volunteering or anything that you think you would maybe change in that career?
Yeah, I think I've been asked this question quite a few times from different people. And I think my simple answer is that I probably wouldn't change anything. I really enjoyed me being a student in Australia, and everything that I did, I think I was able to do it in a way I was manifesting it, and I was able to tick off every single thing that I had on my list that I wanted to do during my student life. But one thing that I would probably say to all those students is that we spoke a lot about volunteering, but I think one thing that's really important is to also showcase yourself and develop a brand in yourself, because it's important to volunteer for sure, but it is also important to tell other people that you're volunteering, but you have to be humble at the same time. So I think it's really important that you start using social media, communicate with others, that if you're helping out, upload your photos, use LinkedIn. I think that is a really good tool where you can tell other people, reach out to employers, reach out to different volunteering organizations, and develop a brand, because personal branding is something that employers value a lot, the way you brand yourself, because that way people know who you are and you're able to reach out to many other different groups which you would have never thought that you will be able to reach out to. So I think that's something that I would do, and start as early as you can, because you might think that you're just settling into Australia, into that study life. Yes, it is daunting, it's hard. Culture is different. People are not speaking your first language. You don't know anyone, no friends. You're probably thinking about your accommodation, your job, your university fees. But once you slowly start settling in, maybe within the first couple of months, start thinking about your future career as well, and think about 2 steps ahead, and just start as early as you can. I think, and the success or your goal, they're different based on who you are. For someone, it might be getting permanent residency in Australia, but the other person, it might be getting a good job, or for another person, it might be just finishing a university with good grades. Think about what success looks like for you, and then start working on it from day one, because the earlier you start, the better it is, because there will be, so what we talked about is all the good bits in my story. It's all sugar coated, but there were a lot of things which I was not able to do, which I actually wanted to do. But the good thing was, because I started early, I was able to then adapt adapt to that change. I was able to learn, okay, I was not able to get it. So that was a learning experience for me on how not to do it.
Yeah.
And then I took 2 steps back, did it again, but in a different way, because now I know this is how you don't do it.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. And then I think it's really important to start early as well.
Oh, that's great. I think you have summarized the whole thing for students who are aspiring students who are, maybe they want to get into volunteering or just want to see how volunteering can help them in their career. Like they say, volunteering is not just about career, it's also about karma as well. So, it's more about like a selfless help that you can, offer to people. At the same time, you can obviously learn many things from it. So I think you summarized the whole thing really well. So I'm really glad that we managed to get this session done today here. And, I'm sure a lot of you would have taken a lot of notes from this session that would help you in your career on how, you can approach volunteering for, better career and, or how you can look at, Sunny's story. If you would like to follow him, by the way, we'll put a link of his LinkedIn in the description box below. So follow him along. I follow him along and I really love what he does over there. So, feel free to join him and see his story. Now he's not a international student anymore. He's gone through that phase and I'm, really wishing him all the best for the future career and success, all the best. And thank you again for coming on the show.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having me.